Oh, hello there. Yes, well, I'm very pleased it's the weekend. I have something burning up my immune system, which is lovely. Sore throat, cough, and glands are swelling. Wonderful, thank you very much. Anyway, today has a bit of a change from the usual stuff about trans issues in schools or schools issues in trans. I just want to talk briefly about sort of wider economic stuff because one of the enormous failings of British media, one of the things that they get tetchy about, is this notion that they are there to inform. And they really don't, because there are lots and lots of things that are happening very much on a wider basis in the world that simply don't get anything like the coverage that they should. Aaron Bastoni at Novara Media very often states this quite categorically about overseas stories and overseas economic stories that the British media just might pick up with on business pages, but generally don't. I mean, what you tend to get in this country is a lot of noise and hot air about, for example, the World Health Organization changing rules for things, and it's dreadful. We mustn't sign up for this. Meanwhile, the World Trade Organization, which we've been lumped with since Brexit, is basically a non-functioning body because they can't get a judicial system to sort out trade disputes. So that system of international trade has effectively been moribund for getting on for a decade now. And nothing, even though it has much more of a direct impact in our lives than spurious notions about what the lizard people at the WEF are going to do. So, you know, whenever we get these discussions of international stories, they so often through the prism of your Andrew Bridgtons or your Coach guys or your Nigel Farages, who magically just want to persuade you that that nefarious foreigners are after you. Well, let's do something about it then. No. If we're not even going to mention it to you. There's the whole stuff about the basic international trading order breaking down along very much east-west sort of fault lines. The Chinese are not going to give up their status as, well, they would see it as leaders of the BRIC nations and others. So you can shout as much as you like about the Chinese being supportive of Russia, but why wouldn't they be? They share an enormous land border, for God's sake, yeah? You know, it's fine for us to make stupid noises about little boats in the English Channel and suggest nefarious things we're going to do with the French, knowing full well it'll never happen. It's another thing when you have nuclear armed superpower sitting right next door to you. Still, anyway, they're both bad people, and that's the way that one's going to be presented. Biden has very much reinforced these fault lines with new sanctions. Now, you would have thought, again, our lords and masters telling us from Adam Smith onwards that free trade is the way forwards and we must have free trade and it's what made Britain great and you mustn't mention the fact that other things were going on at the same time. It's definitely free trade and we were nice to slaves. You get all of that kind of diatribe and it's ridiculous in a historical sense, but in terms of any form of analysis as to what's going on, because if Biden in putting up those tariffs against electronic vehicles does go through, definitely, which it probably will do, it means that the Chinese will push even greater to put electric vehicles into Europe, which will probably mean that the European Union will start to increasingly put up trade barriers against them. Now, you can argue for or against international trade if you like, but we are going back to a 19th century world where small groups of nations become very much more hermetically sealed than they used to be. And I'd like somebody out there to give me a better analysis than nobody in the British media. You know, you do, I mean, think about the sort of the stuff you get, for example, in the Daily Telegraph. There are lots of noises in the Daily Telegraph about this stuff, but it's in the business pages and that kind of opinion. And everything else is just swept away by noise about migrants or or Jewish people feeling unsafe, or indeed trans in schools. It would be nice if the British media could do what they claim to do, which is to inform, or indeed just provide some level of basic analysis. But of course they're not going to do that, because they very much represent class-based interests, and they will tell you, even when they're lying about it, what's going on elsewhere in the world. For example, their great white hope of Argentina and their new president is going to do the Thatcherite thing and show us the way forward. Well, the guy is managing to make headway against inflation, but he's dropped most of the Thatcherite stuff because he simply can't do it. It doesn't work. That's the issue. But of course you won't hear that anywhere at any time. Anyway, do have a lovely Saturday if you can. Personally, I'm going to do a mixture of nothing and sleeping. Enjoy.